What would you say to a kid who's going to take his first drink? Think it over, pal. It's a big decision. Probably nothing bad will happen to you the first time you take a drink. If there are consequences, they won't come till way down the road most of the time. Think about it. Get educated. Last month was 20 years I've been specializing in the field. And in the field itself, alcohol and drug counselors, we have a very simple definition of addiction. And that is, if anything causes problems or makes existing problems worse, then it is a problem.
At first, I thought it was cool to be, okay, I'm drinking, I'm underage, but I'm drinking, this is cool, my friends are going to like me. But then after a while, it got addicting.
There's a lot of reasons why kids get involved with alcohol and drugs, even on the experimental level. There's a lot of anxiety, there's a lot of tension, depression, dislocation, alienation, and alcohol and drugs initially seems to help all of those feelings.
I got involved drinking because my mom was real overprotective, and I felt like I could break that and get a release from that, because it used to get me mad, and when that happened, I'd go out with my friends and just to forget about the troubles.
And when they experiment, instead of it being horrible, like people try to scare them, it feels great. For some, it feels overwhelmingly great, and that's a different story. But for most kids, most of the time, it's a pleasant experience.
I got drunk, I got a little buzz, I got a hangover. So what? The next day, I was fine, A couple more hours, I just had to take a couple Tylenol, put an ice bag on my head, and I was okay. And then a little while longer, is like, it didn't even matter. I didn't even have to worry about an ice bag or anything, or the stuff, because I knew that, when not to, when I was drunk and when I wasn't, and the buzz felt good.
What kids don't have until a certain point in their life is judgment, the ability to abstract. They can be extremely intelligent, but their thinking is concrete. They deal with what's in front of them. Long-range consequences are much harder to deal. And the long-range consequences of drinking and drugs are very subtle. They sneak up on you on little cat's feet.
I lost my virginity because of me being drunk. Alcohol influences you not to have control of your mind. And whenever you're drunk, you don't think about what you're doing until after you do it.
The kids who are watching this will agree with me that anybody can get any drug or alcohol anytime, anywhere. That's just a known fact to kids. It kind of befuddles adults. We have a fantasy that our kids are protected. Our kids are not protected.
You just drink. And there was times when I'd put orange juice mixed with my vodka to lower it. That way I wouldn't drink as fast and get as messed up. So it's not that hard, though. Anybody can really do it. I even had my sister doing it a couple of times. And she's 12 years old.
Every walk of life. My patients in the last 20 years have included ministers, teachers, housewives, anything you can imagine. Everywhere you can imagine.
I used to steal little bottles of Bacardi, and me and my friend at church, we used to get 7-Ups, and we would just pour the Bacardi inside there, and we'd be sitting in youth group listening to them and drinking at the same time. And by the time we got out of there, we just kind of had a little buzz. Drinking in church didn't bother me, because I just felt like, this church doesn't care about me, why should I care about it?
The question about whether I think it's right or wrong for kids to experiment with alcohol and drugs, I'm convinced is a moot question. It doesn't matter what I think. It doesn't matter. What matters is they're doing it, and they're doing it in amazing numbers. By the time you get into senior year in high school, more than half the kids have had a drink and smoked a joint that month. As
I gradually kept drinking and drinking, it got worse and worse, and I would get to about 2 bottles of vodka a day and about a half a keg of a 16-gallon keg.
What's the best thing to do if your friend or your kid gets drunk? And the answer is, talk to him about it.
The process began. I started talking about it, when I used, how much I used, and then I started going to AA meetings.
Addiction requires a spiritual solution.
And I really didn't know God. You know, I didn't know anybody. I just went to church on Sunday, and I was one of those Sunday Christians. I didn't have a relationship. And in fact, with my drinking, I got mad at God, and I got mad at because of my situation at home. For me, I had a good, strong group of men to back me because I really didn't feel like the youth group was where I needed to turn, because so I turned to them instead. And if I feel if you're a boy or a young man and you have a problem like this, that, you know, go to a godly man that you know is godly.
People wonder what the answer is for addiction and alcoholism. It's a mass problem, but the solution is one person at a time. People get well one at a time. They get well in the company of other people who are getting well. Find people who are getting well and stick with them. Stick with the winners.
Most people, their earliest memories are somewhere when they were 4, maybe 3 years old, and my earliest memory is when I was 2, and it was when my folks split up, and that was the first thing any recollection that I have.
I came home from a trip with my mom. When we pulled into the driveway, there was a for sale sign in our yard. We went inside. My dad asked for me to leave the room. The next thing I knew, my dad was sitting me down telling me that he was leaving and that they were going to get a divorce.
In order to cope or just to get by, to deal, I wound up, I started to shoplift. And it was never taking stuff that we needed to get by. I wasn't stealing food, but it was more like the little things, just so we could cope with the day-to-day stuff, whether it was makeup and hairspray for my sister, or just the little things that kind of made life a little bit better.
My dad said that he would leave the country before he paid any child support to the family to help out. It was really hard. I started working at a really young age to help buy little things, school supplies, you know. I was looking for cheap clothes, the cheapest things, trying to help out with food or any little thing that I could.
We took a picnic on a Sunday, and I tried to convince them that we'd be good and wouldn't fight. Maybe that might get them together. I also told them that they should go ahead and buy that business that they had been talking about, and we could run it as a family, and maybe that might bring them together.
I was really more interested in either playing sports or checking out girls than having to worry about telling my dad that the rent was due, or that whatever my parents were unable to talk about, I was the one that was designated as the one that would have to be the bearer of whatever kind of information they needed to get back and forth to each other. And it was, I don't know, it just kind of sucked.
My mom could ask me to do something real simple, like wash the dishes, something easy, and I just wouldn't do it. I would ignore her totally, I resented her because she took my father away from me, and I just didn't want to listen to her.
For a period of about 10 years, my mom just, she tried to turn my sister and me against my dad, just by turning him into a villain with all the really nasty remarks. And it not only turned us away from him, but it turned us away from her as well. And our relationships with our parents really deteriorated at that point. It even got to the point where my mother and I didn't speak for a few years.
My mom asked me to lie about the expenses in our household so she could get more money out of my dad. I don't understand why she made me do it. I didn't like lying to my dad. I really felt bad at the time. And even today I feel bad. I told him the truth about what happened. But I still feel like I owe him something, or I need to apologize every day for the things that I did for her.
I felt that my dad abandoned me as a kid, and it's, growing up in relationships, I've had a hard time holding on to one particular person, just, not wanting to have that feeling of abandonment again, and just kind of going through relationship after relationship.
Growing up, life was so, it was such an unstable childhood that any time I was presented when I got older with anything that was kind of comfortable or stable, I just saw it as very threatening. So that, even when I was, dating women, we'd go out for a couple weeks, couple months, and then it would be over. Even if it was going good, even when I moved into my own apartment, I couldn't have any furniture. I lived for a year and a half without any furniture because I couldn't bring myself to commit to even having anything, to bringing extra things into my life.
I don't know what it is. I have the hardest time trying to get settled home-wise. I do everything else and get settled, but whenever I move, I just can't, actually after the actual moving is done, I just can't actually, get settled in. I've been here like over 6 weeks and just can't get myself comfortable yet. It's not that I haven't had the time, I've just not settled.
My mom threw away letters and presents that my dad had given us, photographs of the family together with my dad. And now today I feel like I hang on to everything. Pictures, photographs, everything that has to do with my family, because I don't want that taken away from me and I don't want it taken away from my kids.
Looking back on things, I guess if I had one thing to do differently, I'd probably make sure that my confidence level had stayed high, that I didn't let my parents' problems and their arguing and bickering affect how I felt about myself.
Boyfriend? Oh yeah, you guys hang out all the time and everybody, and he's been telling me that you've been talking about me. You've been telling him I'm stupid, you've been telling him I'm cheating on him, you've been telling him that I've been banging again, you've been telling him I'm using drugs.
Well, I felt hurt because I thought she was my friend, and I don't know, I guess I found out differently.
If you cut someone else down, man, it makes you look better. It makes you look like you're bad or something.
She was my friend, she wouldn't be talking like that and everything.
Maybe your boyfriend needs to know about some stuff.
Why are you saying I've been hanging out with my gang again, huh? I got away from that. Now you're saying I'm hanging out with my gang again?
Yeah, I see you with them all the time, man.
So that don't mean I'm banging, true?
Whatever, man.
No,
Anybody who hangs out with their old gang must be banging again.
No, I thought you were my friend and you've been saying all this stuff about me. That hurts me.
It's a popularity thing, If you can cut somebody else down that everybody doesn't like, you can make yourself look better.
I get jealous.
And I think it's just kind of a pathetic way to get out of, confronting a person and asking them why they did this to you.
You've been saying I've been doing drugs again?
I know you have. You
Yeah.
called up your dealer last night and got some.
Oh, yeah, as a gift for my friend for her birthday. What, I can't even buy a gift for my friends?
It's kind of weird when you get drugs when you used to be a druggie, huh?
No, because you done the same thing, too. You done the same thing. And I know you have, because I was there when you did it.
So?
So nothing. What, if you can do it, I can't? Is that what it's supposed to be? Why don't you quit talking about me?
I'm not even talking about you.
Oh, yeah, I thought we were friends, and you just go around talking about me to people? To my boyfriend? To my best friend? To the people
Maybe
we
your
go to
boyfriend
school
needs to
with?
know how you really are,
Oh,
huh?
yeah, no, my boyfriend knows how I really am.
You don't usually tell rumors about people that are nice and everything, too, You usually tell rumors about people that spread about you or, talk about you or talk about your friends, or cut on your family or something. That's usually who you talk bad about. It's not usually people that are nice to you.
Most of my life I've been like the underdog, and I want to be the one that's, top dog, I guess.
Personally, I think it's better to throw down with somebody, than to go and talk about them behind their back. Because that way you can lose friends, and, you can lose their friendship. And, You know, I've lost more friends through telling rumors than through getting in fights with people, you know, because a lot of times after I throw down with somebody, they'll show more respect for me because they'll know that I had the courage to throw down instead of going and talking shit about them behind their back, you know?
I do it so I could be more popular and so like people like me more and like don't like other people if they're too popular than me, I guess.
When you talk about somebody, you know, you're gonna lose their friendship. Because, I mean, I don't like being friends with somebody after they talk about me. You know, if they'll come to me afterwards and, you know, talk to me about it and everything, and I can find out why they did that to me, you know, and what I did to make them do that, you know, hey, I can be your friend again, you know, but if you can't come to me and talk to me about it, you know, forget it.
You can try and help me instead of going around talking to people about it and spreading rumors about me.
I'm not spreading rumors, I'm telling the truth.
Well, why don't you come to me and talk to me about it instead of going to everybody else at school and going to my boyfriend and everything?
You don't look as far as getting married when you first get into a relationship. You think, oh, this is one of those high school dating games again. I guess when you're in high school, when you start dating God and stuff doesn't come out into a relationship, you don't think about that. You think, oh, I could be together with this guy for 2 weeks, you know, maybe a month. We'll give it 4 months tops. That's, I guess, the way a lot of teenagers look at it. A lot of teenagers are naive in the fact to think that you don't need God in a relationship.
I think I would lean toward wanting her to date somebody Christian. I hadn't probably given an enormous lot of thought because she had met the boy that she was in this long-term relationship for at such an early age. You think at that point of time that she'll probably go through quite a few different boyfriends, or you kind of maybe hope she will.
And as I got serious and more serious about this guy and realized that God wasn't in his life, I realized that what a hunger or how much we did need God in our life. I bring it to him and it's like almost he would get angry at me, and I was afraid to bring up the fact that we needed God in our relationship.
I think whether a guy is Christian or not, if he's got a good heart and treats me with respect, that if he's Christian, it may help with like morals and how he feels on things, but it doesn't necessarily always, you know, matter.
I also, and I think, you know, I don't know if Bob will agree with this or not, is try to let the girls make their own choices and their own decisions. And Jenny, in this case, has constantly reminded me that it is her life. And I believe that we've tried to give her guidance in a way that we would hope the direction she would go.
I am my own person. I think for myself. And if my parents say, no, I don't like him, I like him, chances are I'd be like, yeah, I don't care what you like. This is what I like.
I think through the years we've had some discussions in regards to who we wanted the girls to date and whether it be Christian or not Christian. And I think that I was always hopefully pretty open-minded, wanting them certainly to date a Christian, but also realizing that there's a lot of good people out there that have good hearts and good morals and good standards and good values.
I was actually with a guy who was a Christian. We were together for maybe about a month, and he was the nicest guy. I could tell that his parents had brought him up in a Christian home.
I thought I was in love, so I thought that it was okay. But it's not something I said, oh, you know, at 17 I want to get pregnant and want to be in an emotionally abusive relationship that I can't get out of. When you fall in love with somebody, you think you can change them. And I said that in a healthy relationship because I thought that
if I worked hard enough at it, if I believed in God more, so would he. Every time it came to the question of God, I'd put it off. No, he'll come around, he'll come around. And thought, you know, it was a naive thought in my mind that for some reason someday he'd just wake up and he'd believe in him. Well, he told me that he loved me, and I truly believed it, and I don't know if it was because I was so in love with him, but I thought because we loved each other that love meant you could change that person.